what is different. You've had a go at looking at line graphs and pie charts this morning. You saw both of them in the introduction. So let's have a think about the difference between the two. They are very different, aren't they? But also, can we think of anything that is the same? First of all, can we think of anything that's the same? They look very different, but is there anything that is the same?
They do the same thing.
They do, in that they both represent data, yes. They both represent data, so they're both part of statistics, they both represent data. Good. Anything else that's the same? That's a tricky one, isn't it? What about anything that's different?
The line graph, what's the word? It's the data almost carries on the line, and I've forgotten how you say that.
Right, yes, so when you're line graph, even the points in between represent data, they represent an amount. Yeah, good. Okay. Anything else that's different? Which one do you prefer? Which one's easiest to read?
The pie chart.
Pie chart, right. It's nice and clear, isn't it? Nice and clear and easy to read. A line graph is easy to read, but you need to be accurate, you need to use a ruler, you need to be very careful. How much information do you need when you're drawing a line graph?
All of it.
Well, yeah, so what type of information, what information would you need? So say if you were measuring the temperature in the classroom over the day, what two sets of information would you need?
You will need, for temperature, the temperature of, let's say, the classroom, and then the time you took that temperature.
Good. So you need actually two sets of data, wouldn't you? You'd need the intervals that you took the temperature, and you'd do it at regular intervals, so every 2 hours, every hour, whatever. But you would also need the actual temperature. So you'd need two lots of data to put onto your line graph, something that you change and something that you measure. Okay. Now, is that the same with a pie chart? Would you need two lots of information there? And how would that be represented?
You don't need two.
Okay, anybody disagree?
You do, because you need the two bits of information because you're going to be writing it down.
Can you explain?
You're writing down the information, but if you don't have all of the information, you can't put it into the pie chart.
Yeah, but do you need two lots of information? Was my question.
Yeah, because you need to know what the temperature was. And
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't put that into a pie chart, would you? Sorry to stop you there, but you wouldn't put that into a pie chart, it wouldn't work. That wouldn't fit in a pie chart, would it? Right, okay, so with a pie chart represents the whole thing. That's not a very good circle, but the pie chart represents the whole thing. Okay, so with the pupils, it represented 300 pupils. Okay, and then you're dividing it up according to how many pupils travelled on the bus, travelled on the train, walked or whatever. You're dividing it up according to the amount. So it is actually just one piece of data. The pie chart represents the whole thing, which a line graph doesn't, does it? A line graph doesn't represent the whole thing in the same way. And then you divide it up according to the proportions. So if half the children walked, you'd have half the pie chart coloured in. If a quarter of the children went by train, you'd have a quarter coloured in, and so on. So it's really looking at a whole piece of data and then dividing it up. So in that respect, it's very different to a line graph, because it's a whole piece of data and you're dividing it up into sections to represent the amount. Can anybody think of anything else? No? Have we exhausted it? Okay, so they are very different, aren't they? Very different. Similarities in that they're both representing data, but they represent data in a very different way. So you have to think very carefully when you're representing data about which method of representation will suit your data better. Which one will be suitable for your data.